Today, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to break down a professional investment analysis on a very small company that happens to be playing in one of the biggest industrial booms in the world right now. And the central question they ask is, well, it's a bold one. Yeah, you heard that right. The investment report we're looking at kicks off with that massive claim. So our goal here is to unpack their thinking, to see if this is just wild speculation or if there's a genuine data-backed case for this kind of incredible growth. And this is why they're even asking that question. Over 10 lakh crore rupees. I mean, that's more than 120 billion US dollars. That is the sheer scale of planned investment in India's power grid. It's not just a number, it's a tidal wave of cash that's going to lift a lot of boats, especially for the companies that actually build this stuff. So with that insane amount of money setting the stage, let's zoom out for a second. Let's look at the big picture, the powerful forces that are creating this perfect storm for companies in the power infrastructure business. Here's the game plan. India has this massive national goal to hit 900 gigawatts of power capacity. A huge chunk of that, 500 gigawatts, is coming from renewables like solar and wind. But you can't just plug that in. You have to build entirely new electrical highways to carry that power. The result? A guaranteed decade-long construction boom, with the whole sector expected to grow over 15% every single year. Okay, so you've got this giant ocean of opportunity. The analyst report we're digging into zooms in on one tiny fish in this huge pond, a small-cap company called Viviana Power Tech. So let's figure out who they are and what they actually do. Viviana is what's known in the industry as an EPC company. Now, that sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. Just think of them as the master builders for those electrical highways we were talking about. They do everything from the initial design to getting all the materials, to the actual construction, and finally flipping the switch to turn it on. It's a one-stop shop. Now here's something the analyst really flags as important. Who owns this company? A massive 70% is still owned by the founders, or promoters. The report sees this as a huge plus. It means the people in charge have their own skin in the game. Their interests are aligned with long-term success, not just hitting quarterly numbers. All right, so we get the backstory. Now for the really juicy part, the bull case. Let's get into the numbers that have the analysts so excited about this company's potential. I mean, just look at this chart. The growth is, it's explosive. Their sales basically quadrupled in just 2 years. And this isn't some pie-in-the-sky forecast. This has already happened. It shows they can actually handle a massive surge in business, which is a critical test for any small company. Okay, stick with me, because this next number is super important, even if it sounds a bit technical. 42.9%. That's their return on capital employed. Here's a simple way to think about it. For every $100 the company invests in its business, it generates almost $43 in profit. That is an incredibly high number, and it suggests they have a very, very efficient business model. And hey, don't just take the analyst's word for it. This quote comes straight from the horse's mouth, the company's own management. They are on the record targeting another 2.5 times revenue growth in the next few years. That gives us a really clear benchmark to judge them against. Okay, it's really easy to get carried away with a growth story like that. But any good analysis, and this one is good, has to take a hard, honest look at the risks. So let's flip the coin and talk about the challenges. 207 days. What on earth is that about? Well, this single, stark number points to what might be the company's single biggest headache. So here's what it means. After Viviana does all the work, builds these massive power lines and gets them running, it takes them, on average, 207 days to actually get paid by their customers. That is almost 7 months. For a small company that's growing like crazy, waiting that long for cash can put an enormous strain on the business. This table really sums up the whole dilemma, doesn't it? On one side, you have these incredible strengths. They're specialists, they're super efficient, and the owners are all in. But, and it's a big but, the weaknesses are almost a mirror image. Being small and specialized also means they're not diversified, and their business is at the mercy of big economic cycles. And we just saw that huge working capital need.
So you've heard the bull case and you've heard the bear case. After weighing all that potential against some very real risks, where does the analyst land? What does this all mean for the stock price today?
And here it is, the bottom line. After all the complex financial modeling, the analysis concludes that the current stock price is fair. But, and you really have to hear this part, it's only fair if the company pulls off that incredibly ambitious growth plan we talked about. So a lot of that future success is already priced in today, leaving very little room for error.
So what's the actionable advice here? Well, the report is very clear. First, this is not for the faint of heart. You need a high appetite for risk. Second, the strategy isn't to chase the stock higher, but to consider buying shares if and when the price pulls back. And third, and this is the most important part, you have to watch this company like a hawk. Keep a close eye on their execution and their ability to manage that cash flow.
And all of this leaves us with the one final massive question. You've got this huge tailwind from the industry and a really nimble, efficient little company. But you also have major risks and a stock price that's already betting on success. So is Viviana PowerTech a future giant in the making? Or is it a thrilling high-wire act performing with absolutely no safety net? The answer is going to unfold, one quarterly report at a time.